Welcome to the very first My Little Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Bree. I'm here with my father, Gary.
Hello.
My mother, Shelley.
Hi.
And my brother, Bryson.
Hello.
The first topic that we have here today is going to be on our concrete countertops. But before we get into that, a quick word from our sponsors.
They are?
Just singular, one sponsor.
Okay.
We are sponsored today by the MyLittleHomestead.com merch store. If you're looking for presents this upcoming Christmas or want to look dashing while decking those halls, please check out our website. We have a special Cyber Monday sale running today only. 15% off all merchandise plus free shipping. That's MyLittleHomestead.com over on our shop page. The link is down in the description. All right. Well, there you go.
Thank you, sponsor.
We had a lovely Thanksgiving week. And we had some family over.
I don't think I ate enough. Holy cow.
I don't think I ate enough either.
Yeah.
It seemed like we did.
Well, it was like I was cooking and sister was cooking, mom was cooking, Jocelyn was cooking. Everybody was cooking. It was just like there's a madhouse in there. And so much food.
And it seemed like we actually went to the store, back to the store to get more food because we had more recipes that we wanted to.
We're used to that. That's the way we build things. Start building and go, crud, I got to go to the store because I don't have the right amount or the right stuff.
Yeah. Well, we hope that you had a lovely Thanksgiving, or if you're not from the USA, you just had a lovely week. Mm-hmm. You know, we got Christmas coming.
Wasn't it Canadians had theirs?
Yeah, theirs was a few months ago. I think last month. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not Canadian, so I don't technically.
Now, do they have Thanksgiving? But is it like a Thanksgiving where they have pilgrims and stuff?
I have no idea.
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
I don't know.
You know, you guys have to tell us now. How'd your Thanksgiving get started?
I'm very curious about.
Well, maybe
about
it's copycat. Maybe they thought ours was cool. If they could do theirs before ours, they get all the credit.
They're first. Yeah, I see.
I'm kidding. It's just a joke.
Okay, so to get onto our subject here of the concrete countertops, we're going to start with a question to lead us in. Jinx High says, hey, I was wondering in regards to the countertop, what other options did you consider, and why in the end did you pick concrete?
Probably one of our first ones was marshmallow. It seemed to be a nice soft topic, top piece there. Nobody gets hurt. You could fall into a corner.
Thanksgiving? Are you still thinking Thanksgiving?
I think, food. God, I don't know. I started doing countertops with Formica, like in the ancient days, and it just seemed so normal, and I didn't want to do normal. So we looked at all kinds of things, like just some kind of hard surface, even a Formica, and then painting it, and then some kind of resin over the top of that, or there were lots of options. Stone, we could have gone with stone, and slabs of whatnot. But we had a round room to put it in, so I needed to account for that. So it isn't like just running out and getting a 24 by 6 foot piece and chunking it in. It had to be form fitted. And so we had to kind of think outside the box and use a material that would work like that.
Think outside the box in our circle?
Yes, outside of the box in the circle.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Exactly. I know we had put the question on the Weekly Peak as well, and we had floods of suggestions. And concrete countertops was one of the suggestions that came in quite a bit. And I remember we did a lot of research on each one and considered carefully each one. Because, when you put this stuff, when you build this thing and you put it all together, you want it to be there for a while and look good for as long as possible. So,
I was wondering what an aircrete countertop would look
that
like.
Was one of the questions, one of the considerations we had too, I think.
Is it a hard top? Could it have?
I mean, you'd have to cover it in something because it's air bubbles. You'd have to cover it in a resin or something once it was done, but it would be really light countertop.
Probably that might not be a bad solution if you just wanted just the countertop and no hangovers, no areas like the island has.
Well, hangovers would still work. I mean, you could still put in rebar and stuff inside of aircrete. I don't know if you'd need it because the strength is already so
I don't know. It's
strong.
Definitely a lot of countertop ideas. That being one of them. Maybe one day. We're going to need more things to put
Monday.
stuff on.
Do
I'll
it,
wager.
do one in the shop. Do a aircrete
Oh, yeah.
countertop in
Oh,
the shop.
perfect. Oh, workbench.
Check it out.
Yeah. Although you're supposed to use steel ones so you can weld on top of them.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
unless concrete can somehow have conducting properties.
That's where you expose the rebar. And
Oh.
the rebar sticking out in different places.
Perfect.
There you go.
And then you just
Coat rack.
attach
Yeah.
Coat
the
rack
rebar
right
to
in
it.
the...
We got solutions.
several thousand volts. Oh, you don't touch that table. Yeah, I know. Goodbye.
Put your tongue on it.
You
Tell me if
and
it's
wonder
hot.
why you put the door there. That's for you to fly out when you touch the table.
So after we settled on the concrete countertops, what was the process of learning about the installation?
Well, we went to our favorite educator, YouTube, and kind of figured out that, there's a lot of people doing different types of countertops. There are two major differences. One is you pour it in a form and then you flip it upside down and then place it in the location you want.
I've seen that
I
before.
started seeing how many holes I need to cut for sinks and all the different ideas. And the sizes I had to go with,
So big.
yeah, we're not going to do that. Pour in place was the other option that we did.
That would be another reason to use aircrete. Is you could do that that way.
No, we've gotten better.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking light.
it's lightweight.
It's light. It's lightweight.
We moved
I
back.
agree.
It's lightweight. You could build big forms and put them on top of
Absolutely.
There you go.
sections.
Yeah.
Like, sorry,
Nice
go
and
ahead.
light.
Continue.
So-
I
All right.
interrupted.
Or marshmallow. It's
Or
still light,
marshmallow.
either
I was
way.
thinking cookie brittle or
cookie brittle.
the brittle.
Cookie brittle. Back on food again.
That's it. Peanut brittle. You can make a countertop out of peanut
I think
brittle.
he's hungry,
I
maybe.
think we're moving on to Christmas.
I think we are. We're back around.
You put the
But anyway,
gingerbread.
Taking him off food. I started.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, the two options were, of course, pour in place or pour it separately and place it. And so we chose the major option. So I had to look around for people who did that. And round. The corners are round. Everything's not square. So there wasn't that many people. And I did tap right into somebody who was doing round countertops and making them DIY creators. No, that's somebody else.
We'll put that in
We
the
can put the link in
Yeah,
the
we'll put the
description
link
because
in
that
the
was a
description.
helpful one.
But yeah, I looked through that video, sent it off to the boys, and see if they watched it. And of course, they didn't. So it was kind of fun.
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He
That's
did his
Karen.
research coming
That's
in.
Karen goes,
Yeah.
what video? The one I sent you. Yeah. Anyway, but he figured it out.
I watched it.
Yeah, so go look at that video and like and subscribe to the guy. He's very I don't think he has more than maybe 50 subscribers or something.
I know it was brilliant the way he put it together. It made sense.
I'm sorry I lost my voice. So
I know Mom's suffering from. It's actually we've
Laryngitis.
decided it's the mic. We haven't got all the
right.
She has
the,
the bad
the voice. It's giving a husky tonage to
Oh,
the.
is that what
yeah,
it
it's an
is?
overtone.
Yeah.
You purchased that
She's-
mic specifically for that quality.
I
The
see.
smooth tone.
Yeah, exactly.
She's the only one using a different mic here too.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
That's what we're. Yeah, exactly. All right. So to lead us on, John Salazzo asks for the countertops. Do you just have to seal it only after polishing, or is it like a yearly maintenance type of thing?
Each one of the sealers that are out there have their own regimen of maintenance or when to redo it. The one we're going to choose has got about a 3-year time. It'll last for about 3 years, and then you need to kind of consider. The easiest way to test it is if water will bead on the top of the countertop, then you're doing fine. So I would imagine that you could probably go longer than 3 years depending on usage and how often it's cleaned or scrubbed or
It'd be pretty easy to test too.
yeah. But if water's starting to seep in, it won't bead properly on the top. Then you need to.
And that's our
reseal.
cue.
Yep.
All right, very cool.
Cool.
All right. Whoops, I thought I was all ready and prepared. Okay. Sam Shields, 18, asks, my question is about the rebar. Would welding the cross section versus tying the wire be more effective or less effective?
We have tried wielding in the past.
Wielding?
Welding.
Oh, did I
sorry.
say wielding?
Yeah, you said wielding. It was kind of cool. You will it.
That's welding.
Together.
My bad.
I'm wielding. Is that spelling?
Yeah, I'm not spell checked. Thank
That's
goodness.
I just
I'm
pictured
sorry,
this
I didn't
guy.
point that out. You probably glossed over it
Welding.
going, I hope nobody notices.
No,
I just said
yeah.
wielding.
Oh,
I
we're
just
going.
picture this guy with two metals stuck together. I'm willing these metals as hard as I can. They're not going together.
Welding would probably be be more secure. But remember that the reason we use the wire is to keep the rebar from floating around once we pour the concrete. So it's not moving. It's in place. Once the concrete surrounds it, it's not going anywhere. But it does have a little bit of strength. I'm sure there's some tensile strength that it would increase if it was stronger, like one piece of metal all welded together. So that's a good idea if you take the time to do that. But you know, on these great big huge dams and skyscrapers and everything else, everything is just wire tied. So
I kind of like to think of it like fiberglass. They're just loose pieces inside that are stiff around a shell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And then the next one here is by Debbie Boring. To do with new countertop. How many inches thick is it?
2¼ inches thick at the outside, where it hangs over the edge of the cabinet. It's 1.5 inches where it lays on top of the cabinet.
All
Pretty
right,
significant amount.
And
actually.
how long is this thing going to take to completely dry?
Forever. Concrete never stops drying. It literally will cure for years before it's at its ultimate. For us, though, we're looking at a week for working with it. And then I'm sure within a month it'll probably sustain some pretty good weight. In our case, we got the type of concrete that's got some really high strength and tensile strength, really high. For countertops, it's specifically designed for that. But there are other concretes out there, cements that are not near as, don't need to be. You know, the stuff they put out on the roads or your driveways made out of is just fine. But the countertop was a little bit different, with a higher strength value.
Even like
Very
soil
cool.
cement.
And then the last bit to the question here is also, if the color does not come out exactly as you want, can you stain to change it?
Oh, can you stain? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, well, originally that was my big concern. I didn't want a gray countertop. And then we found that buff color that Gary put in there. And that was nice to get. I really, really like the color, and I love how after he's sanding it now, we'll be showing that next week or this Friday, I guess, in the weekly peek. But those little stones are coming out, and it's really, really pretty. And so I'm going to be very happy with it. But we had talked about getting a concrete stain. We actually were going to do that before we saw how beautiful the color is coming out. So yeah, we would have gone with a stain, and we still could if we wanted to, but I think we're going to leave like it is. Yeah.
It turned out super awesome. And the more,
I guess if you really screw up and you don't like it, paint covers anything, you know, so you can do stain and there's Z-Top and some other folks out there that are making some pretty interesting stains that you can put on there that are non-toxic, and a little bit, you know, sealers that are also non-toxic, like we used a non-toxic sealer. Yeah, so you can definitely treat it, make it look more like granite or some other type of grained surface.
Probably could do resin too, like some food safe resins. I would think could also.
But that was a thought.
Do a good job
we
on
put
it.
a little river made out of blue resin or something down the middle of it. That was a thought.
Yeah, and I think what kind of where we decided not to go that route is because we decided that we didn't want the countertops to actually be the piece of art. We wanted the countertops to kind of blend in, and then the artwork to be other things around the kitchen.
Good point. The focal point is not the cabinets. It's
And not the countertops,
It's not
yeah.
the countertops, right? It's the food in the refrigerator that we serve on Thanksgiving. That's the focal point.
That's
exactly.
right.
We got our priorities straight. Okay, so Jessica Gilbert asks, would the inside of the cabinets need extra bracing to support the weight? What should we do with commercial grade cabinets as far as bracing?
Well, I'll speak for the cabinets I built. They're 3/4 inch plywood, multi-ply. Could be 7 or 8 different plies in there, so it's very, very strong. I didn't use any extra bracing because the carcasses I built were just, I mean, they could hold a car. They're tank proof, you know. Yeah. So I didn't. But yeah, you're right. There are commercial grade cabinets, such as things you might find at Home Depot, Ace Hardware, whatever, that has those cabinets got a lot of chipboard and other types of lesser cost materials to make those more affordable in the store, which makes sense. That would just hold a normal countertop. So you may have to do a little bit more bracing, but for the most part, most cabinets or countertops and stuff or counters are made out of 3/4 inch material. So that's one thing to consider is the weight of concrete. It's heavy. Once you finally get it done, throw your...
Another reason to use aircrete.
Oh, we've gone round again.
We got the aircrete thing going on. So
Okay, sorry.
those of you, we have a video out on that, right?
I don't know.
Aircrete?
Yeah,
We experimented.
We experimented a little bit with it.
I think Garen is
not done
probably...
experimenting with that.
Garen's
I've
gonna
got
do
some
some
other
more stuff.
things. I think Garen's
he's-
going to try some different things.
I think he's thought about thinking about it seriously on that aircrete. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh,
Lots of fun stuff coming out on that stuff. I'm sure soon. Nothing in stone because we dream for months and then we
nothing buried in aircrete.
Stone.
Nothing in concrete.
Nothing in concrete, exactly. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all the questions that we got concerning the concrete countertops. Is there anything like up to this point? Is there anything that we would have done differently? Looking back, like on the process of installing these, is there anything that we're like differently next time?
Maybe played around with the color a little bit, maybe, and had more options than the one color you got that we did for these. It's a beautiful color. I like it too.
It turned out real good.
But as far as shades of darkness to lightness, we didn't really play with that very much. We just assumed we had 2 bottles of this stuff. It had to last for both counters. The decision was easy. We have to put in so many ounces per load so we can match the color to the next batch and so on. So we didn't really experiment more with color. Could have been lighter, darker, more options. I might have explored that a little bit more. It would have been nice to monopour the backsplash, which still needs to be tackled. We're going to have some pretty thick backsplashes that are going to go up against the round wall. That all has to be poured. It can't just be, just can't.
It can't be poured in pieces and put in place.
It's round, so we have to pour it to the wall. So we'll have to do that. That'll be another experiment in what to do. Monopour would have been nice to build those all at the same time, but I don't know. I would have probably still had some other issues with that. But.
Yeah, and I know we struggled a little bit with getting the forms right because we didn't have access to the right material that really that board kind of busted, but it ended up working out just fine. But
we could
Yeah, the
use
thin-
masonite, or they even have bendy board.
Yeah, I was
that
even
would've worked
thinking.
too.
I was even thinking like window shades. You know, the shade things that go down, like for like sliding doors and stuff.
Yeah.
Those bend really nice.
Yeah.
Those might work
Get a
really
bunch of
well for something
shades.
like that. Yeah.
That would have worked
That-
too.
that's
Get a window
Good
window
suggestion.
shade thing, and who knows, maybe be cheaper in some case.
I wish
I don't know.
Z-top folks and people like that would come up with some decent round
Like
options. They
molds
have-
stuck on the edge.
Well, they have molds, but they're just like plain and simple, and there was nothing interesting like you could put in them. I thought personally.
Yeah, we actually speaking of that, we actually were thinking of 3D printing the molds for around the edges.
We did talk about that.
Which would have been really interesting. It would have taken some time, but it would have been interesting to see.
And you just
what
snap
that would
them
do.
off when you're done.
Yeah, or make them that they clip off or snap off. Yeah.
Oh, well, who knows? More countertops in the future. I'm sure Garen and
In
Italy
fact-
looked like they were going to do that eventually.
Yeah, we may be ending up helping them with theirs.
Are they going to do concrete tops?
They talked about it.
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
no.
It's dream time over
Oh,
there.
are they?
Yeah,
is this where
they
the
go.
aircrete comes in?
Oh, here we go.
I'm
The
sorry.
next question.
Sorry.
You're fine. Okay, so this is the moving subjects. Is there anything else we want to add to the countertop installation?
Not so much. I'm looking forward to the finish.
See,
I think that the bluff blends really well with the color we chose for the cabinets. So that's a nice blend. It's contrasted enough, especially when we get the sealer on. It's going to darken up a lot. When we get the sealer on, it'll look like. But by darkening up means that all those little grains of sand and be polished and everything, those are going to pop. So you'll see those easier.
Oh, it looks so cool.
Yeah, you're in the sanding phase right now, doing a lot of sanding right now.
Yeah, my arms are tired.
Oh, I bet.
Sander.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It's good. Good for me.
There's pieces of wet concrete that's been sanded off that are flying around everywhere on like the fridge and stuff.
Okay, so I got a little bit of run over on the fridge.
It comes out.
Wipe off.
Sorry,
His belly's gray. His shirt's gray.
Yeah, it is
I put
right now.
myself into the work. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, no, it's
good.
perfect. It's
It's
perfect.
really good.
Okay, so Tab Meckelborg asks.
What was that again? Say that again.
Don't make me do it again. Tab Meckelberg. I'm
I like it.
okay. Here we go. Also, okay, hang on. How do you balance your social and family lives between weekly films and projects, and health and hardships?
We just don't sleep. We just party all night, and during the daytime we just work.
Yeah.
There you go.
Easy.
I kind of think that the YouTube videos are our social lives in a sense. Like they're our lives.
In a way. Yeah.
We take you along with.
We do have friends, though. I mean, real ones.
Oh yeah, I guess
they breathe and
outside then, but
Yeah, that we can visit and stuff.
Well, I mean, if you just look at last week, you know, we had family over, friends over, we had a lot going on. So yeah, we do. But the one thing that is sacred to here is that we take one day a week off, and it's Saturday that we take that day off. And if anybody schedules anything
you
on that
lose
day,
an arm.
Get so upset. That day
You
is
lose
like
an arm.
we just take that whole
Dad did
day
recently,
off.
and he
I did
almost lost an
recently.
arm.
Well, we were crunched up against Christmas, so I needed that extra or Christmas, Thanksgiving. I was crunched up there time wise to make sure that I had plenty of time to get the cabinets as far along as they were. And as it came out, I would have liked to have had more days, but
so really, the near-death experience was not cancer.
no,
It was when
it
he
was trying
scheduled
to
on
schedule
Saturday.
something on a Saturday.
Exactly.
That's- yeah.
And the work he scheduled, like, okay, we're going to go somewhere. That's something we can accept. Work on a Saturday? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I
goodness
even
me.
had Garen and Ellie come out, so I was really double.
That's what forced us, or we would have said, nah, another day. But it worked out really good. So,
Yeah, it did. And like that brings up another point too. We tend to schedule things, so we work extra during certain days to try to open up certain days that we want for the week too.
we do a lot
do
of
things
scheduling.
like
This is
that
what
as
we're going
well.
to do today. This is what we have to do this week. Scheduling helps free your time up immensely for whatever you
So
want to do.
sometimes we work like from like 9 to 5, even longer than that in some cases, to just get things done.
Get everything done, yeah. Okay, so Doc Pun asks, in the cluster of a digital world, how do you stay grounded and motivated as such a strong family using so much natural resources?
I'm
Okay.
I'm at a loss for words.
I missed that.
Well, I think we stay motivated, we stay positive by the people that we surround ourselves with. And
I think too that we don't take something that may be negative or backwards to us as a defeat. It's always a step forward. It's an opportunity to move past that into something else. So moving forward is huge. That's what motivates me. Getting up in the morning is like, okay, what do we have scheduled for today? You know, I don't have a Monday like some people have Mondays at work. You know, like they dread going to work on Monday. We don't have dread days. We're doing things we love. We're really fortunate to be able to do that, and all of us share a similar vision and a similar motivation to get these things done. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have bad days and we feel crummy or whatever it is. You know,
Things break or we're sick or something weird.
Well, I had to
that can
take a couple
happen.
months off myself just to kind of recoup. So it happens. Those things do. But mentally, that didn't slow me down a bit. Matter of fact, it gave me plenty of time to think of all kinds of other things I could do. So doing is fun.
We have this balance too between, working physically and then working. We love to work with our hands, but we also love computer work in all kinds of various ways and things, and videoing and programming and websites and art and all kinds of things on the computer. So we usually have a half and half day. Half the day we spend physical and the half we spend on the computers. We like that balance. I think all of us enjoy that balance.
Yeah, when you get too many days doing just one thing, it's draining. But when you get a little of both, it's like, oh, it keeps you looking forward to something,
Pacing.
The pacing. We get the pacing right. We're all about that pacing, yo. Okay, so Zujul asks, what's the longest project that as a family was undertaken that you thought would be a short and quick project?
Every project.
We always
We'll have
do
it
it.
done in a few months. 2 years later, kitchen, whoops.
No, I did think the kitchen shouldn't have taken this long. Remember last year was a big rush to get the kitchen done before Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
now
still
we're
that same rush.
Yeah, it's the same
I'm still waiting for that to happen here. Christmas is coming here. I got to get this done. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's not that we haven't been working on it either. It's just it's a piece of art. Those cabinets and everything. That's also pieces of art. So they take
It's
longer.
fun to move at a slower pace too. I mean, you don't set out to move at a slower pace, but the slower pace allows us to come up with more ideas. And also, we're getting feedback constantly through comments and different things, and it gives us more ideas, and we change and we alter, and that's fun too. That it ends up being way better than we had originally planned.
That's so nice.
There's lots of things that we've done that were comments or started out as a comment.
It's great if you don't finish because of that feedback.
It ends up being better because of all of mine's
I mean,
coming
you want to
together.
finish,
Yes,
but
you set out to finish, but
Yeah. To continue the question, has there been a project that you've thought as soon as it was finished, darn, we should have done this some other way? Recently,
that's everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it does seem like, we could have done that differently. And,
Yeah.
the big
Always
one
happens.
recently has been the floor in Garen's room
What was
with
it on that?
the stain that we put down ended up beating the
Oh, yes.
it beaded the what do you call it, the finish that we put
Yeah,
on
if we
it.
could have done a water-based stain, I think we would have
the cool thing about
future.
those are that there's happy mistakes and they're
the
great.
happy little accent
Because now that we
accents.
know that, if we
accent.
want to make a beaded floor, we know exactly how to do it.
Exactly. I don't know where you'd ever use it, but you know what? We know how to do it.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
are there any individual projects that one wanted more attention for, or a project that one person wants to? It's something that we want to start or something.
Something like you want to do, but you don't know how to find the time to do.
Oh,
Is that what-
like
is that
every
the ways-
project that we do?
That would be Bryson's
That would
project.
be
Yeah,
me and
Bryson's
like everything
projects.
I ever want to do.
Poor
So
Bryson.
I split it up. I'll find ways to do it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
If I have
crazy
to
how
get to
many
something,
things
I
roll
have to-
around in Bryson's head that he wants to do.
Everyone
Yes.
has that though.
Do we?
Like you have projects you wanted. I mean, we just all have projects.
We do.
It's scheduling
Nothing's
and
like
pacing and
Bryson.
figuring out how to
Nobody's like
manage
Bryson.
it.
No.
Yeah, he has a computer for a brain, and it just stores it in there. The next time I get around to it, I'm going to do this. Here's a new idea.
Sometimes-
here's a new idea. wait.
Oh, you
Here's
know what
another
we
idea.
could do?
Something-
Aircrete.
Yes.
Computers out of Aircrete.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Massive ones, skyscrapers. Let's go. No, but another thing I've been recently discovering is one project can help finish another project by either, for example, like let's say you love doing something and you make money at doing that something, but you can just use that money to fund your other projects. And now you don't have to do the time to actually do that project, but you get to see that project get done. You can be a part of that project getting done. I've recently discovered that that's another way of
A nice
completing
one.
everything because it's hard to do everything. You don't
there's-
have to do everything.
There's too many things to do. Not enough time to do them all in, for sure. I have projects that will get done, but they're just future ones.
Yeah.
You know, this is one, the podcast, and look, it's getting done.
That's
What
right.
a deal.
Yeah, you've been
Done,
talking
yeah.
about this a lot.
Yeah.
For a long time. Okay, so Papa Ravioli asks, any hobbies outside of YouTube?
I think YouTube is our hobby.
You know, that's what happened. Is it was the hobby, and it's now become the deal. It's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A lot of us enjoy different things. I enjoy music a lot. I mean, sometimes we get some of my stuff on YouTube, but for the most part, you know, I create just because I want to learn how to work with strings in Logic Pro X. So it's like, how do I work with strings and horns, which are difficult because they have expression and all that. So I'll spend an entire day just thinking about and watching YouTube videos on expression. So it's kind of like the hobby. So my day off is I'm actually working on music, which I might or might not use for
Future projects.
future projects.
Yeah, I think our family has a knack for taking our hobbies and making them into our careers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we try to do. Like, oh, hey, I really enjoy doing this. I might suck at it right now. I'll get better, but I love doing this. How can I incorporate this into what we do? You know, recently for me, it's been artwork. That was my job for a while. Now it's turned into the merchandise shop that we do, and then just like on the side as well, painting shoes or painting the headsets, or like I'm gonna refinish my piano. Like there's a lot of little projects that would be hobbies, but we make them into our our weekly peak or whatever, so they become part of our job, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, let's take, if I may, why don't you talk about the rock?
Rock
the
tumbler.
rock tumbler.
Well, it was something that I don't know. Like, what do I want to say about it?
A rock tumbler comes to you, and
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I've always wanted to do a rock tumbler, and all of a sudden it came, and I'm like, great, let's do it. And well, now we're tumbling rocks, so it's fun to do, and it takes a long, like, rock tumbling. It'll take like 8 days to like tumble a rock, so like it takes a long time to get those rocks around. So you got the time to spare, but you just get them going when you get the time to do it, maybe while you're eating or whatever, and you get them going, and then
You were so excited.
I was.
I haven't seen you this excited since the
I'm still excited.
saxophones arrived.
I have recently discovered that you can actually use just sifted dirt to polish the rocks.
Nice.
Which I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to go get, rock polishing powder and all these different things to get some of these rocks round. I'm not even sure how these rocks are going to turn out. I don't know what a rock looks like. I mean, is this a cool rock? No idea until you tumble it. So it's like, like I don't know anything like material wise on that. So I'm just like grabbing certain rocks, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to waste my time and money and putting energy into this stone or rock. But now I just recently discovered I can use dirt, so it's like, oh, it's free to just get some dirt in there, throw a rock in there, test it in the tumbler. If it turns out nice, then cool.
And now the next level will be, now when you get these rocks, I don't know, your wheels are spinning too. Where are we going to use these rocks? How are we going to turn them into different projects? That's going to be fun too.
Yeah, and I know like a lot of these stones would look really cool embedded in concrete, or even like we had a future plan for some clear tanks, fish tanks, for some future aquaponic systems.
Indoor.
And rocks, beautiful rocks
Indoor.
like that
I'm
would
excited
look
about that.
really cool in those fish tanks, and things like that. So
For sure. All right. So here's the next question. Are y'all ready for this one? Windswept Farm asks, did you ever try the mousetrap again with the water in the bucket?
Did we, Bryson?
I honestly can't remember. I do know we have some buckets still out there which are catching them. I've seen a few in there.
Yeah, we find that
But-
just buckets catch them.
I know, yeah. We can just put buckets
We
out
must
there.
have pathetic mice, I guess.
Well,
I
we
see them jump
saw
out.
that
We
one
do.
jump out though, but some of them just can't jump out.
They get
So you get some of them.
tired or something.
And
I
then
was
you
even-
just chuck them to the chickens, or you chuck them to the dogs.
the
and
dogs or chickens will
They take
love
care of
them.
them for us.
Mhm.
Yes, we don't have anything.
Same
It's
if we
good.
ever lose a fish, because sometimes at first that was happening because just getting the system set up.
Nothing goes to waste.
But yes, nothing goes to waste. Chickens were going after them. I was like, oh, okay.
Everything stays in that beautiful circle of life. All right. Okay. So Zach Rucker asks, how do you balance your gaming time and the project time? And then in parentheses, my kids need this. Okay. So just like we schedule the projects that we're going to do, we also schedule the very important gaming time.
Me too.
The evenings are full of movies and games, whatever we're in the mood for. And then that one day a week is so important for us to just, like unplug and,
If we want to
recharge.
game, or
If we wanna
do
game.
that, if we just relax.
Yeah,
and
whatever we want to do. And gaming is like the
another
big one.
thing.
It's mine, but you can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah, go
another thing too is at a time we were streaming. We were live streaming our gaming so that we could, like, me and Brie had this thought of, hey, what if we play games anyway, but what if we streamed it? Then, it's kind of a business /
There you go, turning the hobby
relaxation
into the
kind of
work.
all in
Yeah.
one. And so we kind of could combine the relaxation. So it allowed us to stream every night, which we typically, I would say every night we would sit down and watch a movie or play games, usually.
We're going to
about
be
every
doing that
night.
again too, but we need better internet.
Yeah.
So we're
the streaming needs to
recharging on that one.
needs to do that. But
but
it was
yeah.
a way for us to, sit down, relax. We're playing a game, but yet we're relaxing during the live stream.
And then I noticed too, like I'm big into social network. I got my own Twitter, and it was a big deal for to stay up on that stuff when I was doing freelance stuff. But I find that being more in control of my phone time is really important. So like if I'm not getting any sleep, it's probably because I'm on my phone. So a while back I'm like, no phone when I'm going to sleep or whatever, finding ways to schedule the time so that you generally can do everything you want to do. We find we can. It's just a matter of when you do it, I guess, for us.
The phone is like a key sucker timer. It's like a suction cup. It just sucks your time away.
Yeah.
And then you end up playing these app games. And you're like, five minutes here, 5 minutes there, 10 minutes. That's me.
That's what you would do.
That's me. If I'm sitting down, I pick my phone up. Like if I'm gonna sit down, I like pick my phone up, and then like 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh wait a minute, I should be doing something. That's so it definitely sucks time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, did you?
No, I was just saying anything with a priority, we have to make priority for. So there are hard stops too. You have to be at work. You have to be certain places, and you have to do certain things. So you meet those obligations. You're 15 minutes early, or you're late. That kind of an idea. That mentality, that good work ethic, is what probably drives us to a better scheduling and a better making good of our resources and so on.
And time is a resource,
and
for sure.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, you're not going to have a full day to necessarily work on one project necessarily. When you have a lot of projects, you have to just split it up. 5 minutes on that project, 5 minutes on that project, 10 minutes on that project. And eventually they'll complete each other. They will get complete.
It will happen.
It will happen.
But surely. Okay, so another question by Zach Rucker is, do you use a homeschooling curriculum? If so, what was it? If not, how did you learn all that you needed?
Okay, that was probably did because everyone's homeschooling now. Yeah. Well, I think originally when Gary and I started looking for a curriculum, it's overwhelming because there's so much out there, and what we ended up falling into was we got a math curriculum. I think it was like Saxon Math. I think that was the most popular one. And then we got a literature for reading and writing. And then everything else was pretty off the cuff. And we wanted to leave a lot of time for creativity. Creativity was probably the dominating principle of the homeschool. And it also was a time that YouTube started to really flourish on their how-tos. And I used to joke that the school that the kids went to was the YouTube, because it was amazing the amount of things that all of you kids learned on YouTube, and how it would inspire you guys to go and build and do or learn. And there was a lot of, we had a lot of room for that kind of stuff, because when the kids are excited about something, that's when they're going to learn the most about it. They're not going to learn the most about, sit down and do that math book. Hurry up, get that done. Yeah, you're going to, when you have to do something, you just do it. You don't necessarily absorb it. But when you're seeking it, searching it, and doing it, you're going to really learn it. And that's kind of where Gary and I really wanted to see you kids go towards.
And we did. We'll get enthusiastic about something even to this day, and whoop, 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 we know how to do it.
I'd say, like, the times that you probably learn the best is when you really want to do that.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the end of that is like, how did you learn all that you needed? The fundamentals were all learned. So I know how to read. I know how to, do the math, pay the bills, whatever. But most importantly, I know how to research. So if something is like, ooh, I want to know how to do that better, or I feel like I need to know this, I could just easily get down and learn it. If I felt like I needed to know something. And I think so you never have to worry about, did you skip something, or maybe you didn't know something. It seems like we're forever learning. So just learn it.
Look how we used to research in the old days. It was like go to a library. And then you have to spend half your time looking for a book that has the information you want. And that's just we don't do that anymore. We have our internet and it's available. Now, of course, we have all kinds of sources, and not only learning how to do research, but learning how to verify and accept truthfulness of what it is you're reading. That's another skill set that has to be developed.
That's true.
And
critical thinking, critical research
Yes,
almost.
absolutely.
different ways to communicate too. Like before we had to do books, you had to know how to really, really read and write and do it really well, because the only way you could communicate would be to write it on paper. But now today, our phones practically say what we want to do. I mean, we could just say it and it literally types it out. And that we still need we still need to know how to read and write, but really not to the degree that I think really used to needed that.
I think
as
you'd be
much.
surprised at how much more reading you guys do today than Gary and I did, your dad and I did growing up. You are reading constantly.
I guess I
It
mostly
is.
think about
I think
writing.
sometimes we when things are changing, everybody gets a little bit afraid of it. And I know we had other homeschooling parents that were, rightfully so, afraid of the internet. It can be a very scary place. Mm-hmm. But what you want to do is find the good in it and then utilize that good. And the education and learning that's available on the internet today is by far the best we've ever had, I believe, in the history of probably the world, the education and things that we learn. That's why if we take that tool away, you guys are gonna lack on your ability to learn. We're in a fast-paced learning. It's an amazing time right now. Mm-hmm. And like I say, embrace the good, right? And then protect ourselves from the bad.
Well, I mean, it's just like living in the world. You got to know what okay, I'm not going to go downtown at night by myself. You know what I mean? You got to know how to conduct yourself safely. It's the same as in the world as it would be on the internet. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely so much out there. It'd be a shame if we lost. Not that we're going to, but it'd be a shame if that wasn't a tool for us, for sure. Okay, this has to do with the topic at hand. Camilla Mendes asks, a thing that I always wanted to know is if you're homeschooled. We are homeschooled, and if you guys want or want to go to college.
Oh, you guys are looking at me. That's
no. I can answer.
We had this. Gary and I told the kids growing up that college is simply another tool. That if you want to get in some sort of career that requires college, then use it. But if it's not going to be required, don't waste your time in college. And I think that we're finding that all the things that you guys didn't require college. None of you attended college. Mm-hmm. The pressure was never on you to attend college. And Gary and I both are college graduates. We both have our 4-year degrees, and we both use those to get our jobs after we graduated. But we're kind of living in a different world right now. And
I find in a lot of the jobs, even that you go to look at, they're not looking for college. They're looking for you to be certified on some site that sends you through the stuff. A lot of times today.
I think too, if you really want to learn too, there's all kinds of especially if you want to learn machine shops and stuff like that. There are a lot of places that you just can go and they'll
trade
teach you in
schools.
trade school places that. I think they're more down the alley of anything.
The education is a little more hands-on for especially hands-on subjects.
It's before it was teach everything all at once because you're not sure where the student's going to go. Just flood them with all the information and they'll hook on something and go with it. But nowadays it's kind of if you want to learn it, you look it up and you got your way, and there's a lot of places like Udemy, Treehouse, all kinds of different places that just teach you everything you need to know. YouTube is a very good place.
Yeah, for me, people would ask me if I was going to art college or if I went to art college or something like this, which I'm sure there's fabulous ones out there. But for me, there was so much information out there on artwork alone, how to, anatomy, courses on anatomy and whatever. In fact, a lot of leading artists from the field, they come in and they teach their own classes and curriculums that are amazing. They'll even get on a Skype call with you and draw over your work or whatever it is. The amount of learning that's out there is amazing. In fact, I'll even see new artists come into the field today and they improve exponentially even more than I did because of all the stuff that's out there. It's amazing, the world of learning.
Yeah, I think what you guys would find would be my guess. If you went to college, it would move way too slow for you, because the amount of the amount of resources and the amount of people that make themselves available to sharing on the internet is amazing. And
Yeah, we're
different.
quick. We like to go,
yeah,
especially when we're learning something.
If we want to do it, we just go out and do it. We look it up. Where do we begin? And it's amazing too. Like, I've recently learned, is that you can get all the free courses on YouTube. You can find a lot of free information, and just off of that, you can learn everything you need to know. But if you really want to go hard at it, sometimes paid courses can really be better, because they just provide you with more sometimes. Not all the time, but in some cases, a paid course is worth it. And they're like $15, $10 paid courses. They're cheap courses.
and they're good
a lot
courses
of the time.
out there. We've done
Oh, they're
those several
good,
times.
and they're
yeah.
by and generally they're by people that have been using these for 15 years,
Or even
they've
were
been
part
on
of
massive
designing it.
productions.
So, whatever program, like if you're learning about a program, sometimes you can get people who worked on that program who are teaching you about that program.
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody
who
knows it better than them.
than that.
Nothing better than some practical application to follow or see or be demonstrated through to make learning the best. I think for our family, anyway, we all found that.
Yeah,
to be
everybody
true.
learns differently.
But if one of us wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or some other profession which requires school, you don't have any choice. You can't go to Udemy to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
You have to have, or a doctor. You have to have that particular education through those schools that are specific to that. So even engineering, if you wanted to have that engineering stamp and work for a large engineering firm or start your own firm, you're going to have the right degrees.
But none of us had that interest, so we don't have the need for college.
But you can. That's what's cool.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have
we can
options.
if we wanted to.
And we would have totally supported it either way, whatever it was.
Yeah, and I sat and waited. I was like, I could. I even thought about looking up the courses. There's little colleges around here, but I just kept coming back to it's free. I can get all this for free. Why would I go anywhere? I can do it on my time. I don't have to follow. I don't have to, get past something. I can just, set my own standard and achieve it, So.
Yeah, and you look at other people and you see other people sometimes go through the school system, or not school system, but just like going to a special course to learn something, and you're like, yeah, and that person can really do it well. Like welding, there's also all kinds of different courses on welding, and you go through a course like that and you get done with that, you will be doing it well. But then it's like, for people like me, it's like, well, I don't really need to know necessarily how to do that, because I'm not going to be welding a huge chunk of my life. I'm just going to need a few parts here and there for machines that I'm only going to use. I'm not selling these things. I'm not, doing anything like that. So it doesn't need to look like a professional weld, for example.
Yeah, you just need to be somewhat competent.
Never really made sense to go down that route.
Yeah, for you. But yeah, I see what you're saying. If you want more of a thorough education, that's really where you're going. I can see that being a benefit.
It gives practice too, I think, too, when you go through all those courses. Practical practice.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so our next thing here is Joseph Boanen asks, I'm curious about climate control downstairs in the Muse Art Studio compared to upstairs throughout the year. # praying for Gary.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I will say that we have had a lot of computers downstairs, and so cooling it in the summer was a challenge. If there wasn't computers down here, it would be the perfect temperature. But we have found that heating it up is way easier.
Yeah.
It takes a little tiny heater, if even that, to warm
it's
it.
freezing in our desert-loving opinion. It's freezing outside, and down here it's nice and warm because of that little heater that we got going on.
Yeah.
And then upstairs is where
we're sitting here right now. It's very comfortable.
very comfy. But and then upstairs it's been the same.
Just we fire up the rocket stove and
every now and then, keep it warm.
Nothing like the heat from a fire. It's nothing like that heat. It's just nice.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where all of our wood scraps tend to go. So for all these different wood projects, we'll end up burning the wood scraps that we get.
It all goes to use.
All gets used.
Okay. Tom Lindgren asks, this will probably be our final one here. Hang on, let me get to it. Could you give a little update, a year-end wrap-up of the hydroponic system? What worked, like the mint? what didn't, temperamental fish issues maybe, and your plans to go forward.
Tom Lindgren has been with us a long time.
We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Tom,
him.
Hello, Tom.
for just,
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
So, well, it's worked really well so far. Like, I've not had any serious issues like a leak out the side of it and tank straining. Nothing like that so far. I wouldn't say we've harvested like a ton from it. We've only got a head of lettuce, some strawberries, and like a few beans and a couple bell peppers. That maybe only like a handful of food from it. But it's we've definitely got the like seeing what it really could do, at least I think from what I can tell. And honestly, I could totally see growing all the different vegetables from that system. But it's just getting the system going, and it is going. It's
like
going.
getting the cycle of it, or
The
whatever.
cycle, there's a
balance.
huge cycling process to go through. And one of the things that we learned very quickly, which is one of these things you're like, oh man, should have done that different. If I ever do one of these things again, one of the things is to cycle the tank before fish goes in. In fact, that's usually like one of the first things you want to do. The nitrogen cycle, get that going first. And then, in fact, you can do it's a hydroponic system without any fish. And you just literally throw fish food in the water and you don't even have any fish.
Oh, wow, really?
And that would
crazy.
totally be enough nutrients for your entire plants. But then you don't get to eat the fish, when they're ready and things like this. But it is, I think those systems
right
are
now
really
too.
easy.
You have a whole line of lettuce and
things that
spinach,
are coming up.
We'll be doing some videoing on that here coming up pretty soon.
And learning that kind of thing too. Like I learned that if the plant gets too close to the water, it just rots and dies. And so there's like tricks of keeping it good too to the system. But once you get them going,
it's here to stay.
Yeah,
and
it's here to
grow.
stay.
Yeah, we're very happy with
Yeah,
the
I
start of it.
I can't wait to do more aquaponic stuff in the future too. We talked about doing a big one for the kitchen. A little one, I guess, it would be considered compared to our big one outside. But
I'm going to build the vertical tower hydroponic systems, which go straight up in the air. Those look really cool. Be really fun to put inside or even downstairs or upstairs.
Yeah, I see a lot of different plant things in our future.
I really think we
Kinda
could
getting
grow.
the bug.
Yeah.
we've always wanted them. We just never had a way of achieving it, it seems.
Yeah, like and what is so incredible is we're growing all that produce off of 5 gallons of water every other day. And actually in wintertime, it's almost 3 or 4 days without having to put a 5-gallon bucket in. So like it's impressive the amount of water that's actually saved doing this.
And that's important
shocking.
for us.
And it's important for us because we live out in the middle of the desert and water's like gold. You don't want to just throw it out on the ground.
For sure. All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap up our My Little podcast. Again, if you'd like, we got the Cyber Monday sale. It's 15% off and free shipping for today only. So if you're interested in getting a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, an apron, a mug, a tote bag, a to-go cup, I don't know, all kinds of fun stuff over there on our merch shop. The link will be down in the description, MyLittleHomestead.com, over on our shop page. So good gifts and stuff for the holidays. We are going to be doing more of these every Monday morning now. These will be coming out. If you have any questions or comments about today's show or things that you'd like to see in the future, please be sure to comment down below. We'll be reading each one of them, and I'm sure incorporating you into the podcast as well. We really appreciate you hanging out with us, and we will be back with you on Friday for the Weekly Peak Show, and then again on Monday. So
Yeah, we'll have some going out on Wednesday too. Probably a recap.
Probably a
of
recap.
something.
I'm not sure what's going out this week, but
Yeah.
we got one going out this week as well. So
And the next one, the next full version that we will be putting out will be the cabin, but that will probably be in maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully that one's going to be.
That's a big one.
a big boy.
I may have jumped the gun there, but hopefully in December.
we
before
always
Christmas.
we always think we can do things way faster.
That's true.
We'll get it all done tomorrow. 7 weeks later, it suddenly turned into a bigger project. A year later, it's done. Yay!
Good thing though, we don't get disappointed when it gets longer. We're just like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. It gets slightly delayed. We'll be done in a week.
It will get there eventually.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you so much for being a part of our family, and we look forward to hanging out with you more soon. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.